Welcome to our deep dive. This time we're going to be looking at the very early days of personal computing.
Right.
Way before, the Apples and the IBMs.
Right.
So today we're going all the way back to 1975.
Wow.
A time when, computers were these massive things
Yeah.
used by universities and governments.
Huge. Yeah.
You wouldn't even dream of having one in your home.
It's true.
And to make things even cooler for this deep dive,
Yeah.
we have a first-hand account from someone who was right there at the very beginning,
Oh, wow.
a young Bill Gates.
Okay.
He's going to be telling the story of how Microsoft was born and the deal that basically launched a whole industry.
Oh, wow. That's exciting.
So to set the scene,
Right.
we have this tiny little company called MIT's,
Right.
run by this guy named Ed Roberts.
Oh, yeah. Ed Roberts.
They were almost bankrupt,
Really?
trying to sell these electronics kits,
Okay.
mainly calculators, and then boom, the Intel 8080 IRD processor hits the market.
Okay.
So this changes the whole game.
Yeah.
And Roberts gets this crazy idea. What if?
Yeah.
What if he could build a computer kit
Okay.
that was actually affordable for, just the average person, like hobbyists, electronics enthusiasts?
That's a big idea.
So he designs this thing called the Altair 8800.
Altair 8800.
But here's the kicker.
Yeah.
He pitches it to Popular Electronics magazine for their January 1975 issue
Okay.
before he even has a working prototype.
Whoa. Hold on. Wait. So
Crazy, right?
the magazine goes for this.
They totally do.
What?
The cover photo of the magazine, an empty box.
An empty box. Come on.
I know, a total mock-up for the photo shoot.
What a gamble.
Talk about a gamble.
So did it pay off?
Oh, it paid off big time.
Really?
People were sending in checks for $400.
For an empty box?
For a computer that barely even existed yet.
Wow.
Hundreds of orders.
Wow.
And the MITS office turned into this crazy, chaotic assembly line overnight. Oh my gosh, that's got to be stressful.
I bet.
So there was this huge demand for personal computers that nobody knew about.
Exactly. Like nobody had any idea.
That's crazy.
And this is where our main characters enter the story.
Okay.
Bill Gates and Paul Allen.
Right, the Microsoft guys.
Two Harvard students obsessed with computers.
Oh yeah, typical.
They read that Popular Electronics article, and boom, instantly they know they can write a basic interpreter for this Altair.
Okay, now hold on.
Yeah.
For those of us who aren't, coding wizards, what exactly is a basic interpreter?
Well, it's basically a program that lets you communicate with the computer in a simpler language.
Okay.
You can think of it as like a translator between you and the computer's hardware.
So I can actually tell it what to do.
Right, because back then computers were not user-friendly.
Yeah.
You had to use all this complex machine code to actually program anything.
Gotcha.
Basic made it so much easier for regular people.
To write programs.
Yeah.
And use the Altair.
So it's kind of like the key that unlocked the Altair's potential.
Yeah, exactly.
That's cool.
But here's the crazy part.
What?
They hadn't even seen an Altair in person when they decided to write this program.
Oh, wow.
They were working purely off the information in that Popular Electronics article.
Wow. It's confidence.
Talk about confidence.
Yeah.
So they spent all these late nights coding.
Oh, yeah.
Fueled by coffee.
Of course.
And, that youthful,
Yeah.
we're going to change the world kind of energy.
That's awesome.
It's classic, right?
Yeah, it is.
So did it work?
Well, that's the big question.
Yeah.
So Paul Allen flies out to Albuquerque to demo the program for Ed Roberts and the MIT's team.
Okay.
You can imagine the tension in the room.
Oh, I bet.
Nobody knows if this thing's going to work.
So what happens?
Well,
yeah.
it worked.
No way.
Perfectly.
An hour.
First thing he does, types in a simple calculation. 2 + 2. And the Altair, running their basic interpreter, spits out the answer. 4.
Wow.
They even got a version of that text-based game Lunar Lander running on it.
That's awesome.
Ed Roberts was blown away.
I bet he was.
They basically held the future of computing in their hands right at that moment.
I know. It's amazing.
And just like that, a deal is struck.
Wow.
MIT's agrees to license their basic interpreter.
Wow. So this is the birth of Microsoft.
Almost.
Okay.
They needed a name for their company first.
Right, of course.
So they're tossing around some ideas. Allen and Gates Consulting got rejected pretty quickly.
Really? Why?
They thought it sounded too much like a law firm.
Yeah. Not quite the image.
Not very exciting.
Yeah, so how did they land on Microsoft?
Well, it's a blend of microcomputer and software.
Ah, I see
Which
it.
perfectly summed up what they were doing.
Right.
Creating software for these new, smaller computers.
Okay.
And fun fact.
Yeah.
It was originally hyphenated Microsoft.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
They dropped the hyphen a year later.
Ah, okay. So much happened in such a short amount of time.
Yeah, it did.
It's amazing how this, simple magazine article
Right.
could spark this chain of events that led to, one of the biggest tech companies in the world.
It's true.
Yeah.
But this is just the beginning of the story.
Oh,
Remember,
yeah.
while all this excitement's happening with MIEs back at Harvard,
Yeah.
Bill Gates is about to find himself in hot water.
This sounds like trouble.
It might be.
What did he do?
Well, let's just say his late-night coding sessions
Mm-hmm.
weren't just about BASIC for the Altair and the powers that be at Harvard.
Yeah.
They were not too happy about it.
Oh, boy.
Dive into all that drama in the next part of our deep dive.
All right, sounds good. I can't wait. So last time we were talking about Bill Gates maybe getting into trouble at Harvard.
Right.
What was going on?
Well, computers back then were pretty scarce, right?
Yeah.
You'd mainly find them at universities,
Right.
government research labs.
Mm-hmm.
Access was strictly controlled.
Okay.
And Bill was a student at Harvard.
Right.
So he had access to their computer lab.
Yeah.
It was called the Aiken Computation Laboratory,
Okay.
funded by the Department of Defense.
Oh, wow.
So they were supposed to be doing serious research,
Right.
not developing commercial software.
So Bill working on this basic interpreter for Emites was kind of like a side hustle?
Yeah.
And technically against the rules.
Pretty much.
Okay.
So Bill, Paul Allen,
Yeah.
and their friend Monty Davidoff,
Okay.
they're spending night after night in the lab, just pushing their coding skills to the limit.
Yeah.
But it wasn't long before their computer usage started raising some red flags.
What do you mean, like, were they hacking into the system or something?
No, nothing that dramatic.
Okay.
It was simply the amount of computer time they were using. The lab had this new system for tracking usage.
Mm-hmm.
And Bill's account,
Yeah.
user 4114,
Okay.
it was showing an insane number of hours.
Like how many?
Hundreds and hundreds in a single month.
Oh, yeah. Someone's going to notice that.
For sure.
So who came knocking?
Well, the lab had just hired a new associate director.
Okay.
His job was to make sure everything was, running by the book,
Right.
especially with all that government funding.
Uh-huh.
And let me tell you,
Yeah.
he was not amused by what he found.
Yeah. So what happened when he, confronted Bill?
Well, Bill was surprisingly upfront about it.
Really?
He admitted to developing BASIC for the Altair,
Okay.
explained about the deal with Emites,
Mm-hmm.
even offered to, reimburse the lab for the computer time they use.
Oh, wow.
He even suggested putting the BASIC code in the public domain.
Oh, wow.
So anyone could just use it for free.
That's pretty generous.
It sounds reasonable already.
Yeah, so everything's smoothed over.
Nope. The associate director saw it as a clear violation of the rules, something that could jeopardize their funding.
Oh.
So he deactivated Bill's account,
Oh, no.
took away his key to the lab,
Really?
and announced that he was reporting everything
Oh, my God.
to the administrative board.
The administrative board, what is that?
It's like the ultimate disciplinary body at Harvard.
Oh.
They had the power to expel students
Right.
for serious offenses.
Okay.
And they were definitely taking this situation seriously.
Oh, wow. So Bill is facing expulsion from Harvard
Yeah,
for writing a computer program.
pretty much.
Those are some high stakes.
Yeah, and remember, this is the first time Bill had really told his parents about what he and Paul were doing
Oh.
with their BASIC project.
Oh, no.
Now they're faced with their son potentially getting kicked out of Harvard.
I can't even imagine that phone call.
So how did his parents react?
Yeah.
Well, Bill's father,
Mm-hmm.
he's a lawyer.
Okay.
He immediately starts asking all these tough questions.
Like what?
Were the rules clearly stated?
Right.
Was Bill treated fairly?
Would he have a chance to defend himself?
Wow.
He was concerned about making sure due process was followed.
So he was looking at it from a legal perspective.
Exactly.
And Bill's mother, what about her? I bet she was freaking out.
She was incredibly worried.
Yeah.
Not just for Bill's future, but for what this could mean for their family's reputation.
Right.
She was a prominent figure in Seattle, a successful businesswoman, community leader.
Right.
Having her son expelled from Harvard
Yeah.
would be a huge blow.
So what did Bill do?
Well, facing expulsion.
Yeah.
Parents worried sick. What's his next move?
Yeah.
He did what any good programmer would do.
Okay.
Wrote a letter.
Oh, really?
A long, detailed letter
Okay.
to the administrative board,
Uh-huh.
explaining everything,
Okay.
defending his actions, apologizing for any wrongdoing,
Yeah.
trying to put his work in context.
Did he, plead for mercy?
Well, he definitely expressed remorse.
Admitted that he'd made a serious misjudgment using the lab for commercial purposes.
Right.
But he also made this strong case for the significance of his work.
Oh, okay.
Highlighted the transformative potential of these new microcomputers.
So he was basically saying he was breaking the rules for a good cause.
Kind of.
Did the board buy it?
Well, we're going to have to wait until the next part to find out the verdict.
Oh, come on.
But before we move on,
yeah,
I want to share something really poignant from the source material.
Ooh, I love these little details.
It wasn't just Bill's immediate family who were worried about him.
Oh.
His grandmother, who he called Gami. She wrote him a letter during this whole incredibly stressful time.
Oh, wow. What did she say?
Well, her letter wasn't about the legal stuff or his reputation.
Okay.
It was about his character. She urged him to uphold the highest ethical standards no matter what.
Wow.
Reminded him that even small compromises could have serious consequences.
That's really powerful.
It is. Even with all this drama, going on, there were still these people in his life who cared deeply about him as a person.
Right.
Not just about his success.
Exactly. And it makes you wonder, knowing how things turned out for Bill Gates, how much did this whole experience, this brush with serious consequences, shape his approach to business and ethics in the years that followed?
That's a really good question. So we've got this young Bill Gates facing expulsion from Harvard. His family's worried sick, and he has a letter from his grandmother reminding him to stay true to his values.
What a cliffhanger. Okay, so last time we left young Bill Gates hanging in the balance, facing possible expulsion from Harvard, for using the university's computer lab for his commercial software project. So what happened? Did they kick him out?
Well, after a lot of back and forth, the administrative board, they decided to give Bill an admonition.
An admonition? What is that?
It's basically like a slap on the wrist. No expulsion. No permanent mark on his record.
So he got lucky.
Yeah, they basically said, hey, what you did was technically against the rules, but we understand that you were driven by your curiosity and boredom with regular classes more than any bad intentions.
So they kind of recognized that he was just a really bright, brilliant mind who was maybe getting a little too ambitious.
Yeah, pushing the boundaries a bit.
Yeah.
And what's really interesting is one of Bill's professors actually spoke up for him during the whole process.
Really?
Yeah. Professor Tom Cheatham.
Okay.
He told the board that kicking Bill out of Harvard would be a huge mistake.
Wow.
He saw so much potential in Bill.
Right.
And thought the whole situation was just a case of a really bright student. Being bored with normal schoolwork.
That's awesome. So even though Bill and Professor Cheatham, sometimes butted heads a little bit, he still had his back.
He did.
And he believed in him.
He really did. And it shows how even within, a traditional place like Harvard, there were people who understood that things were changing in the world of computing.
Yeah.
They saw the value in what Bill and Paul were trying to do.
Right.
Even if it meant bending the rules a bit.
So Bill gets to stay at Harvard.
He does.
Microsoft is officially up and running.
It is.
Happy ending, right?
Well, it might seem that way. But this whole episode points to a much bigger shift that was happening,
Okay.
in the world of technology.
Yeah.
Back then, computers were seen as these exclusive tools for universities and governments.
Yeah.
But all of that was about to change.
And Bill Gates was right at the forefront of that change.
Absolutely. And his experience, even though it was super stressful at the time, was a perfect example of this transition. The old rules were breaking down.
Right.
And a new generation of innovators.
Yeah.
People like Bill and Paul, with their coding skills and big ideas.
Right.
They were ready to shake things up.
That's amazing to think about. So what does this all mean for us?
Well, I think it's a reminder that sometimes the biggest technological revolutions start with these seemingly small moments.
Yeah.
A magazine article.
Right.
A late-night coding session. A tense meeting in a university lab.
Yeah.
These things might seem tiny at the time.
Right.
But they can set off a chain reaction that changes the world.
Just like Bill Gates couldn't have predicted the full impact of BASIC back in 1975.
Exactly.
We have no idea what groundbreaking innovations are happening right now that will shape our future.
That's true.
It's kind of mind-blowing.
It really is. Yeah. And it makes you wonder, if you could go back in time and give young Bill Gates some advice, knowing everything that happened.
Yeah.
What would you say?
That's a tough one. Maybe I just tell him to embrace the ride. The highs and lows, the unexpected twists and turns. Yeah. After all, it's not every day you get to be part of a technological revolution that changes the world.
It's good advice and a good reminder that history is rarely neat and tidy.
Yeah.
It's messy. It's unpredictable.
Full of surprises.
Exactly.
Just like a late-night coding session that accidentally launches a multi-billion-dollar company.
Well, I don't know about you, but I am definitely hooked on the early days of personal computing.
Me too.
And if you are too, we've got some links to some amazing resources in the show notes.
Yeah, check them out.
You can learn more about the Altair 8800, dive deeper into Microsoft's history, or just, reflect on how far technology has come in such a short time.
And be sure to join us next time.
Yeah.
As we continue to explore these fascinating stories behind the technologies that shape our world.
Until then, keep that curiosity burning bright.
Yeah.
And we'll see